Hi, welcome to the Coffee Chat here on Buzzing Pattaya, the show where we talk about things that are currently happening right here in Pattaya City, as well as news, information, tips and advice, and of course things that are happening in general across Thailand. Now, before we get into today's conversation, remember, if you want to keep up with what we're doing, please hit the subscribe button and the bell notification, which will tell you when we upload videos each and every week. Okay, so today I want to ask you a question. If you owned an Agogo bar in Walking Street, would you open? Now, the reason I'm asking you this question is we get sent lots of emails, lots of messages and comments through our social media saying, these guys are crazy for opening, or I just shut up and I just call it a day, or, I just remain closed. But the point being is, have you given it any real thought as to what their situation actually is? So what I want to do is just go through a few things and just explain what we know that the go-go bars have to deal with in order to open their doors. So the first thing is that when the government gave the green light to say to everybody in the industry, if you want to open your go-go bar, no problem, it's up to you. Here's a list of guidelines we'd like you to stick to, but yes, you can open now. The minute they did that, what happened was that gave the landlords who own these buildings absolute full right to come back to the go-go bars and say, well, we want our 100% rent now. There is no more rent holiday periods, there's no more discounted rates. It's the full round, because the full rent is due because you have given the choice to either open or you're given the choice to stay closed. And as they say here in Thailand, it's up to you. Now, if you stay closed, I don't know how much you know about Walking Street, but from our experience, having talked to bar owners and managers, generally speaking, the rent in Walking Street is somewhere between 100 to 200,000 baht per month. Yes, there are some places that pay more, and yes, there are some places that pay slightly less. But in general, you're talking between 100 to 200,000 baht per month. That's some rent. Now, if they stay closed, they're going to have to pay that regardless. And that's a bitter pill to swallow. But on the other side of the coin, if you opened your Agogo bar doors and said, you know what, we're going to give this a go, the next question has to be, so who is your target audience? Well, your target audience has to be tourism, because expats in general don't go to the Agogo bars. I'm not saying that they don't go there, but in general, they don't go. It's not something that an expat would do every week. Oh, let's hit into Walking Street, let's go around all the bars. Normally, they stay across in the dark side, or they go over to LK Metro, they go to the less touristy destinations. So already, by opening the doors to your go-go bar, you've got a very limited audience. And even more so because the Thailand authorities have not permitted any more foreigners to come into the country. So there's no more tourism at the moment. And it doesn't seem like that's going to happen for at least another couple more months, if not perhaps, as it's been mentioned before in the news, maybe January next year. So here you are in a really difficult situation. You own an Agogo bar in Walking Street. You've got huge rent, and you've got rent that has to be paid now because the government has said, well, you can open. But you've got no tourists. And you've got nobody to walk through the door, because the amount of expats that come in is not enough to justify opening your doors. So what do? When you open the doors to your go-go bar, don't forget to add on top of that is you've got to bring in the girls. Now, yes, there are girls on salaries, but in general, most girls are what we call tag girls. Now, a tag girl works on a 10-day contract. So she works for an agency. The agency provide the girls to the clubs, and the clubs have to pay the agency regardless of how many people come in to their bar. So when you're thinking about if you've got 10 or 20 girls on tag, that's a huge outlay every single night to add on top of your already expensive rent. Then you've got to have your security, and of course you need your service staff. Maybe you employ a DJ, and of course, the electric bill to go on top. So you can start to see now that the overheads are just stacking up and stacking up and stacking up. So all of a sudden, that 100 to 200,000 baht rent now has an additional 100 to 200,000 bahts worth of extra expense. So you're now looking at almost 400,000 baht per month to get through your door to pay your bills, what would you do? How would you deal with this situation? What would you advise? I mean, drop a comment below and let us know what you would do in this situation. You're in an Agogo bar. You know if you close the doors for good, there is a strong likelihood you will never get that place back again because they won't renew the licenses or someone else will snap it up. If you stay closed, maybe the girls that had worked for you in the past have moved on to somewhere that has decided to open their doors. So now you've got no girls, or you've got to employ more tag girls, which is even more expensive. So what would you do? Would you just say, do you know what? The golden time's over and call it a day? Would you hang it out if financially you could? Maybe that's an option. Maybe you could sit it through and just say, do you know what? I'll wait until the tourists are allowed to come back into the country. Or would you open those doors on the understanding that you don't know when tourism is going to be allowed, but would you open your doors and try and see it through to its bitter end? Think about it. It's quite a difficult situation to be in. It's one that thankfully not many of us are in, but again, it's a reality. When we walked down Walking Street the other day, it was really distressing to see just how many places had shut. How many places like Simon's Bar, a big complex of bars, looks like it's never going to open again. It looked and appeared like it was done and dusted. How many places are not going to recover from this? And it's really sad because whatever you think about Pattaya, whatever you think about the city, Walking Street is one of the most famous streets in the world, and it does bring tourism to this country. Whether you accept it or not, it's a fact. So here you are. I want you to just give it some thought as to what would you do if you owned an Agogo bar here in Walking Street and you're faced with this situation. Pay the full rent, stay shut. Pay the full rent, bring the girls in, the security, the hostesses, the service staff, electric, DJs, etc., and try and make ends meet. Or would you say, do you know what, enough's enough, we're done, and just that would be it? Drop a comment below, let us know. And remember, if you want to keep up to date, please subscribe to the Coffee Chat here. We're going to be doing lots more talking points, lots more discussions, bringing some discussing news items, things like that. So we're hopefully going to bring back more and more things that will be of interest to you. So please remember to subscribe, hit the notification bell. So there you go. That's the Coffee Chat here on Buzzing Pattaya. Please drop your comments, tell us what you think, and I look forward to seeing you in the next edition.